This isn't time for raw salads. Raw salads are gone. Those were summertime foods. Now it's shepherd's pie and stews and porridges and kitchari.
For anybody who knows anything about Ayurveda, that cool and breezy weather can aggravate Vata, and we don't want that, right?
This can be one of the hardest transitions of the year, going from summer to fall.
Should we go ahead and talk about enemas?
Let's dive into how we're going to stay grounded and tethered during this fall time.
Welcome to Herbalism Uncensored, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of herbalism and natural healing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Lila. We're two clinical herbalists who recognize the need for honest and authentic conversations about the state of natural healing today. As practitioners, we feel called to have uncensored discussions about why people aren't finding relief and what to do about it.
If you're frustrated by lack of results, overwhelmed by conflicting advice online, disillusioned by the commercialization of wellness, or simply passionate about natural healing, you're in the right place.
This podcast is our way of cutting through the noise, busting myths, and challenging marketing gimmicks.
This is Herbalism Uncensored,
where together we're nurturing the future of natural healing.
The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute in any way for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. It's important that you always seek the advice of your physician or other licensed healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding a medical condition.
All right. So September 22nd is the first day of autumn.
Which means this is our seasonal fall episode.
So we're going to talk about all the things that you can do to stay in balance as the seasons change.
AKA to stay sane once the sun starts setting at 4 p.m.
Oh, the sun doesn't set at 4 p.m. here. I'm so sorry. That's awful.
Really? Oh my God, the days get so short, and then like the sun's gone at 4 p.m. for months here.
Wow. No, here it's more like, I think like 5:30 it gets dark. You know, sometimes or 6, but not until like, that's winter. Those are winter times. We actually got our first cool front, and I'm super excited because it is like 85 degrees outside with 0% chance of rain, and it's going to be 66 tonight. And there's like a breeze, so it's really nice, but for anybody who knows anything about Ayurveda, that cool and breezy weather can aggravate Vata, and we don't want that, right?
No, we don't. But before we jump in, I just want to say that fall is my favorite season, and I've been like swapping out my summer coconut things for now. It's pumpkin time.
Summer coconut? Pumpkin?
But yeah, like I eat a lot of like coconut flavored things during the summer, coconut milk and coconut things. Now it's pumpkin time. It's fall. It's pumpkin spice time. I'm one of those white girls.
Are you a pumpkin spice latte girl?
I'm not a pumpkin spice latte girl.
I'm in the process of like switching out like my oils, my dinacharya routine, the kind of I'm going for like heavier oils. Like this next batch is going to have some castor oil in it. And it's just, we're going to get into all of that stuff. I don't want to get too deep into it. I do want to take a moment before we dive in and just say thank you so much to our listeners. I think our last episode had more listeners in the first week than any episode that we've ever done. We're really grateful that you guys keep downloading and sharing and listening, and that gives us the some evidence that we're sharing some information that you guys value and it's useful to you. And that's why we started doing this. And so we really love that. We want to say thank you.
Well put. Very well put. I'm so excited to be here. Okay, we gotta talk about autumn though, because I think you and I can both tend towards having some excess Vata. And for me, autumn is also my favorite season because it's like an excuse to be like extra high on the self-care front and the grounding front and like the doing like cozy yoga front, and I love it.
I like autumn because my birthday's in autumn, and that's how I feel like it's always, we have these excruciatingly hot summers, and well, I mean, and this year, just like I want to give a shout out to the weather gods because we really did have a very mild summer. And the fact that we already have fall weather in early September is like wild and crazy and wonderful. But I always feel like my birthday is the end of September. That by my birthday, like the weather is nice and bearable, and it's nice to go outside again. So but yeah, it's definitely it's a season of transition, right? Like that's symbolism behind autumn is like that it's we're coming along to like the end of the cycle. This is like think about the fall season of your life. These are the retirement years, right? And
Yeah.
so we're moving towards the death and rebirth stage. This is a time to harvest. This is a time to look back at everything that we have worked so hard for, are the fruits of our labors, to gather these things up and to make use of them, and then clear out space and get ready to kind of go into a bit of a rest period before we begin the cycle all over again.
It's very well put. And I will also note that this can be one of the hardest transitions of the year, going from summer to fall. So it's definitely one to take some extra time with and be extra gentle. I mean, like, think about how energetic the summer is and how active it is. Like, now we're starting to kind of wind down and our priorities are starting to shift. And if you're going to pay attention to seasonal shifts, this is one of the most important ones. I think
Mhm.
summer to fall and then winter to spring are like the two toughest transitions. And if you don't transition well and ebb with the flows, you're going to have excess issues from summer that follow you through the remainder of the year. So definitely take some time to implement a couple of these things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we think about this is the time that people are gonna work this like flu season. And you think about fall and winter colds and what happens when it gets cool and windy outside, people's arthritis starts acting up, your bones start aching, your hair gets dry. These are all problems from like we have that excess heat coming in from the summer. What happens when you get hot and dry? You're going to have problems. So, how are we going to rectify that?
Well, before we go there, let's give our listeners a little refresher course in what Vata dosha is, because I think we've mentioned it a couple times now. So a quick reminder, because this episode's going to be all about controlling Vata and making sure it doesn't accumulate during the fall months, because this is a very Vata aggravating time of year.
Okay, so Vata is one of the three doshas. These are humors, and Vata is made of air and ether, so it can be aggravated by things like wind and too much screen time, your Bluetooth. These are ether aggravating things, and winds and breeze and too much talking. You got all this air coming out of you. It is cool. It is dry. It is light. I think someone say cold. It's more cold. It's mobile, like movement can aggravate Vata. And symptoms of aggravated Vata would include things like pain that moves around in your body, insomnia, anxiety, ADD, constipation, and bloating and gassiness.
Vata lives in the large intestines
Mhm.
and it governs, like you said, movement. So it is the dosha that governs things like our speech, any movement that happens in our body, um, like our nervous system, our
Breath,
dysregulated nervous
circulation.
systems. Yep, these are all Vata things. So Vata is probably one of if you need to know about one dosha, it's Vata, because Vata causes 80% of diseases and is the most destructive dosha. So being aware of these Vata-like tendencies, I think, is really important.
Yeah, I think that's something that's important to say about Vata. It is catabolic. That means it does not build tissues, it breaks them down. So yeah, we need enough Vata that we can keep our circulation moving, that we can continue speaking, that we can continue having bowel movements and inhaling and exhaling. We need enough Vata that our smooth muscles in our intestines can expand and contract to move things through our system, but we don't want so much vata that we can't sit down or we start having tremors or cannot sleep or cannot focus.
Yeah, very well put. And I'll just add, every dosha has a home in the body where it likes to live. And it's when this dosha moves out of its home that we have problems. And where vata likes to go after it leaves the large intestines are places like the nervous system, the skin, bones. And that is what leads to, as Alicia mentioned, the dryness, the constipation, the anxiety, the insomnia. Those are all very vata aggravated issues. And if we can kind of do the things to quell vata, we're not going to experience those in the Val. I already had a very sleepless night last night, so I did some vata provoking things before bed last night, and I suffered for it. I ate chicken. I ate chicken before bed.
Chicken spot was like fried chicken? I mean, what kind of what kind of chicken did you eat? Is chicken vata provoking?
It is because it's dry and light.
It is dry. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't even think of I just think of all meat as heavy.
No, I've noticed chicken can cause issues with my vata-ness.
Well, I mean, that's what we've determined that like my iron stomach can digest everything but chicken, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I want to caveat all of this and just not to go too far down a rabbit hole, but yes, we are talking about autumn being a season that can aggravate vata, and we are going to talk about some ways to pacify vata, but just like anything, because everyone is individual and everything affects everything, I will say that for instance, where I live, it does tend to rain a lot in the fall. It tends to be a little more wet than, say, um, if you're going through having fall in
South?
Arizona, you know, then you're probably going to have more vata problems than you would if you live somewhere where it's kind of a rainy season. Also, if you are already a really warm, wet individual, you could probably get through autumn and feel great because you need that provocation of vata to bring your body more into balance. So everything that we say, you have to take into account, practice awareness with your own body and take into account who you are, how you feel, how you're made, and practice all things in moderation with lots of awareness.
Very well put. And I love that you also touched on where we live is different, and these seasons don't go off the calendar. They go off what's actually happening in your region. What's the weather doing? That matters more than, oh, it's October, it's September, it's fall. It's what is the season actually doing around you? That's going to matter more for how it's affecting you than the calendar.
Mhm. And I love that because it was not on my radar at all when I started studying these things. Like, oh, it's windy outside. I go outside sometimes and it's windier than usual. So I'm going to take some extra precautions so that the wind doesn't affect me too much. Or if I go outside and it's really humid, I can take that into account and how I'm going to go about my day. So I think that having these things, not necessarily even in the forefront of my mind, just an introduction to these concepts brought me to a place where I could practice more awareness in my daily life. And if I'm practicing awareness on how the weather affects me, then I'm practicing awareness and I'm going to notice how other things affect me too, which is, you know, that's my, I don't know the term for it. If I want to say like that's my soapbox, but I mean, I know people who listen a lot know that I talk about that a lot because I truly believe that this is the gateway towards feeling better and having better health, is just noticing how I am affected by the things around me.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're in the season of air and ether, which means things become ungrounded. Let's dive into how we're going to stay grounded and tethered during this fall time. Should we start with the digestive shifts that happen come autumn?
Yeah, sure. So what happens is our Agni, that's our digestive fire. If you think about your body, like your body's a machine that runs on a combustion engine, there has to be fuel. The food is the fuel and the fire that burns the fuel up and turns it into energy. So our Agni is our digestive fire. It naturally weakens as things cool down, dry out, become more erratic. Then you have a risk of toxins building up, because that's what happens when we don't digest our food properly. We run the risk of undigested materials becoming toxins in our body.
Yeah, and that's going to lead to what we experience as joint pain, arthritis, inflammatory disorders. Those things might start flaring because we have extra toxins that are starting to lodge into our tissues and cause problems. So I don't know that we actually talk about how big a role digestion plays in the entire scheme of health, but it's, it's the foundation to everything in our body. It's how we get our nutrients, it's our building blocks. It's so important. So when that digestive power weakens, everything is affected. So your arthritis is definitely tied to your ability to digest food. And I don't think a lot of people make that connection.
And that's the thing, right? In the natural healing world is, so I had a conversation with someone recently, told them I was a holistic health practitioner, and he said the first thing he said is, "Do you believe that the gut is your second brain?" And I was like, "Well, your brain is your brain." And your gut is your gut, but digestion is incredibly important. And they knew this. And this is, look on Instagram, and this has been going on for decades. People have been talking about your gut health, your microbiome, right? We know that, what is it? What's the percentage? It's like 90% of our neurotransmitters are created in our gut. Is that how many?
It's a significant amount. And most of our DNA resides in our gut too.
And so, gut health is incredibly important, but they knew this 5,000 years ago. You want optimal digestion. That's that's not necessarily the only entry point, but it's something that, if you want optimal health, has to be addressed. And so anything that you can do to stimulate your digestion, we talked about this before we started recording. I don't necessarily take digestive remedies in the summertime. I take Triphala. I don't want to heat myself up too much. I'll maybe do some digestive bitters because they're nice and cooling. As I move into the fall, I start to use Hingvashtak because it's a Vata pacifying digestive remedy. And as things get cooler, I transition to something else that we'll talk about in the winter episode. But Hingvashtak, I'll throw that one out there as a really good digestive remedy for this time of year.
Yeah, we're going to want things that are warming and have a downward moving energy. So things that heat up the system because it's getting too cool, and help things not be moving upwards, because that's what Vata has a tendency to do. It's light and airy. So we want things that'll ground it down, bring it down, get that energy corrected, but warm things up and curb things like our bloating and constipation that we will tend to in this season.
So we want to think warm, oily foods, and sour, salty, and mildly pungent taste, but not too pungent. When I say pungent, I mean spicy. I mean things like peppers, hot peppers, and black pepper, um, garlic. A little bit of that, but not too much, because we don't want to dry things out too much.
Yeah, this is the time to eat grounding foods. If we're just gonna get into the what foods to eat, we want warm and cooked, not overcooked, but warm and cooked. This isn't time for raw salads. Raw salads are gone. Those were summertime foods. Now it's shepherd's pie and stews and porridges and kitchari. So we gotta really also pay attention to what is coming out seasonally, right? This is time for root vegetables and squashes, which I love. I'm so excited. I bought my first couple squashes and I haven't figured out what to do with them yet, but I'm excited. And you want sweet taste. You want sweet whole grains like your barley and your rice and your millet and your amaranth, amaranth,
Amaranth.
amaranth, and your
Amaranth.
quinoa.
That's what we say in the South. Who knows? We're probably saying it wrong.
And your
Amaranth
quinoa.
and quinoa. This is like we can have naturally fermented foods, but in moderation because we want to kindle Agni, but we don't want to aggravate Vata too much because those things can do this. This is a time to drink warm beverages. No more iced tea, y'all. Sorry. And avoid things that cause gassiness. Like this is not a time to eat, black beans, for example. Just in general, really, if you notice that you eat something and it causes you to bloat and have gas, then maybe stop eating that. It's a sign that your body's not capable of digesting it.
We'll never give up popcorn.
Does it make you bloat?
It gives me insomnia.
Interesting. Well, it's dry and light.
I know.
You need to put more ghee on it, put more butter and make it spicy. Hot, oily popcorn.
I've actually really, as I've started getting aware, and I have lifelong sleep issues from childhood, but one of the things that absolutely provokes my insomnia is when I'm dry. Like dryness in my body. Like I can feel it. Like the nights where I'm really dry, I don't sleep well. I can start putting together like, oh, if I ate a really drying meal or I had a bunch of like, raw salad with chicken, things that are very light, very dry, I don't sleep. And it's very visceral.
It's good awareness. Okay, so we talked about foods to avoid, some things to include. Chyavanprash. We've never talked about Chyavanprash, have we?
I don't think so.
They're going to come after us and get us that we have not talked about Chyavanprash. And this is we're like 20 episodes in.
I know. It's foundational. This is like foundational textbook Ayurveda right here.
So the main ingredient in Chyavanprash is amla. It's an immunity tonic. We should have looked it up. There's a story about Chyavanprash.
For more
That's really
context,
vague.
it is. It's an herbal jelly or herbal jam, and like Alicia said, the main ingredient is amla, and it has like 35 other ingredients, mostly herbs, and it takes days to make. Like it is so laborious and painstakingly, I think, tedious to make, but what you get is a very nourishing jam at the end. I like it. It has all 6 tastes in it. It's very grounding. It's very nourishing. It builds ojas. Like you mentioned, it's a great immune tonic.
I looked it up. So the name comes from the save Shavana, a rishi. So according to the Mahabharata and Shraka Samhita, he was very old and frail, but he married a young princess who cared for him with devotion. To restore his vitality and youth, the Ashwin twins, who were divine physicians of the gods, prepared a special rasayana formula using a base of amla along with dozens of other herbs that include ghee, honey, sugar, dashmul, pipali, gokshara, guduchi. These are wonderful rasayana remedies. And after he consumed it, he regained strength, vigor, sharp intellect, and a youthful glow. So it became known as Chyavanprasha, the tonic of Shavana.
And I'll leave some links below of where you guys can buy it, because I think this is a really fun, easy, benign introduction to some interesting Ayurvedic things. So it's definitely worth like getting a jar of and putting in your oatmeal or whatever. I think it's fun.
Yeah, or just spread it on a piece of toast. You have to think of it like if you like pumpkin spice, you probably like Chyavanprash. You just have to think of it like a spicy jam, right? Spicy, kind of grainy jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very cardamom forward to me.
Yeah, it always tastes like the clove and the cinnamon. It's got a lot of warming digestive aids, which are really good for the fall season.
I'm gonna have to go dig out my Chyavanprash after this. Now I'm like, ooh,
I mean,
that sounds warming and like a hug.
I'm going to throw this out there for all the parents out there. This is something like just get your children started on Chyavanprash as young as possible and give them a tablespoon a day. It has amazing long-term building effects that accumulate over time but last a lifetime.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, in addition to Chyavanprash, a great herb for this season is ashwagandha. You know, we talk about ashwagandha a lot, but this is very grounding herb. It's great for Vata conditions. It adds stability and calmness and balances our energy. That's a really good, heavy choice to keep us sane and grounded this fall season.
Oh, you making me wanna. Can I segue just a moment on the ashwagandha?
Hmm.
I received an email from the American Botanical Council asking me to renew my membership, and I might because they do. I think they said it's a weekly ashwagandha report. So I just want to throw that out there for you and for our listeners because the American Botanical Council is really an amazing hub for all things natural medicine and botanical medicine. They do great research. They have an amazing database, and there's so much talk out there about ashwagandha, and it's become so popular. So that's why they've decided to do a regular ashwagandha report to let people know all the new stuff that's going on with ashwagandha.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I'm almost
Well,
like about to renew my membership just for that so that I can stay up to date on all the trends and debunk all of the bad Instagram posts.
yeah, that might be good fodder for the podcast. Another really great herbal support for this time of year is triphala. I think we've talked about triphala many times. It's just a very tridoshic, so it balances everything for everyone. It does a little bit of something for every tissue and organ in the body. It's really balancing. It can help stimulate digestion in a really gentle way. It can help with detoxing in a really gentle way. It's really gentle and mild, but it's a Swiss Army knife.
It is. It's like, I think, what did you say at one point? Like almost like the multivitamin of Ayurveda. But I'll say that I think that triphala is especially nice this time of year. I take triphala year round all the time, but I might bump up my dose a little bit this time of year because it has haritaki in it. And haritaki is a like one of the number one herbs to help move Vata down and out. It stimulates bowel movements. It's a very mild laxative. And so it's a really great one for this time of year, specifically for pacifying Vata.
I have to know, I just want this on record that I've had multiple clients on Haritaki tablets and they got them from Banyan Botanicals and they do not work. And I switched them over to Haritaki from Gary and Sons and mwah,
Really?
beautiful. Works like a charm
That's
for
interesting.
Haritaki. So, and just all that to say that the you might have the right remedy, but if you have the herb is a bad quality, it's been sitting, like that can be something that impacts effectiveness. So being wise about where you source from and doing some troubleshooting if something's not working is part of the journey. Dashmul is another really good herb for this time of year. It is a blend of 10 different obscure roots in Ayurveda, and it's just the ultimate Vata herbal formula. Um, we'll talk a little bit more about enemas in a minute, and I think Dashmul will come back up there, but it's just a really good, I think of it as pretty mild, Vata controlling herb, and it's tasty. You can sprinkle, I don't, okay, tasty might be a strong word, but it's not repulsive, and you can sprinkle it on food. You can, do what I do and just mix it in a cup and chug it down. But Dashmul is a really, really good one if you tend towards any of these Vata issues.
Should we go ahead and talk about enemas?
Yes.
I mean, well, and I'll say that this is the time, like, if you are a cleanser, I mean, I bet you hear it all the time. Like, people want to do a cleanse, right, Lila? I hear it all the time. Hey, I want to do a detox. I want to do a parasite cleanse. Um, we still haven't done a parasite episode, and we really should.
We need to, because we need to talk about Cellcore. They're like the biggest detox company right now, and
Uh-huh.
I finally investigated some of their kits, and it's like $250 for like phase one, 3 bottles of their parasite cleanse, and it's just laughable what's in there and the price you're paying.
Well, it's yeah.
Sorry.
I know all about Cellcore. I looked deep into them, and yeah, it's over. It's an overpriced liver detox. That
It's
was
gentle and the dose is low.
the dose is so low. Well, so here's funny story. I went to like a weekend workshop where I think I was the only person there who wasn't a Cellcore practitioner because the woman who was running the workshop was a Cellcore practitioner. They sold Cellcore at this indie office. It was a great workshop, but of course, we did some muscle testing and I got my little protocol for the things that I needed. And of course, they were all Cellcore. And when I looked at the ingredients, it was all things that I was already taking, but I was taking anywhere from 10 to 50 times the dose that was in the bottle that they wanted me to, that if I were to purchase it at retail price would have cost the entire protocol would have cost me like $200 for what, like a 2 week supply or something like that. Whereas I'm taking 10 times to 50 times the dose at like a tenth of that price.
We'll have to do an episode soon. The
Yeah.
ultimate detox episode. But
But
enemas.
if you want to detox, or if this is a good time to detox, that like 1 to 2 week period as the seasons are changing, this is a good time to do your, to cleanse out your tissues, get all those all those excess toxins out. So one of the ways to do that is with
An enema.
enemas.
Enemas. Enemas are one of the number one things that control Vata dosha, and it's a great tool in the toolbox if you're willing to use it. Should we tell them we're gonna do an enema episode this season,
Yeah,
or
so
let it be a
here's a little
surprise?
teaser. We because there's all different kinds of enemas that you can do, and I've done a couple and Lila's done a couple, and we're gonna do a Christmas enema episode, 12 days of enemas.
Yep. Well, we're gonna explore 12 different types of enemas and report on them.
Yes, and we shall report back. So
Yes.
fun, since 80% of diseases is caused by Vata, then that means that 80% of diseases can be treated with enemas.
Yep. Number one thing to treat Vata. Um, okay, what to say on enemas here though? You mentioned that transitional period, so the 1 to 2 weeks. It's a great time to start doing these things and do like a mono diet where you're only eating a few foods or something simple for a couple weeks is great. And then pairing it with enemas is a great idea. And you can also do enemas, like weekly throughout the season as the fall progresses. That is a really good um, thing to do. It helps keep the energy moving downward. It helps relieve the large intestine or the colon of excess vata. And it's a great way to get medicine in the body.
And yeah, and like this would be a great time of year for like oily enemas.
Yes. Did we mention that on the food that it's a great time for ghee and oily? You said oily foods, I
Yeah, we
think,
want
but
cooked foods and oily foods. Think think gravy. Think, if you're steaming your root vegetables, you don't want to roast your root vegetables in the oven and eat them dry. You want to steam them or saute them with lots of ghee, or after you steam them, put a lot of olive oil on them. If
I'm
you're for
hungry.
that kind of stuff, I'm making myself hungry.
Yeah, like any foods that like you want to just like curl up in a blanket and it feels like home. Like that's the season for those type of foods. And with those foods, maybe we could pair some nice teas with them.
Mm,
This is chai season.
it is
And
chai
I guess maybe
season.
spring is chai season, but this is also chai season to me.
You. Well, yeah, we're seeing warming teas, mild spice, grounding qualities. So, we have things like cinnamon and clove, and nutmeg. These are all drying things and warming things, but then you're drinking them in a wet tea. So we kind of counteract some of the drying effects because it's in a moist tea. You can add a little milk to it, make it a little more grounding, a little more moistening. Think ginger, think cinnamon, think clove. This is definitely, ooh, so Star West has a herbal chai that you can buy loose. It has no tea in it. It has no caffeine, no black tea, and it's got licorice in it.
Ooh,
So we're talking warming, moistening. It's tasty and delicious.
that sounds lovely. Okay, so we're eating good grounding food. We're taking some nice grounding herbs. We're drinking some nice warming teas, digestive teas, carminative teas with like fennel and coriander and cumin are great this time of year as well.
Yep.
Um,
Great time for that
ho-
CCFT.
yeah. All right. So what's our routine looking like? What are some seasonal awareness tips for us?
We're gonna wake up early while the world is still and calm. This is we're gonna brush our teeth, scrape our tongues, which we're gonna do like all year long, right? Like
Do
every
this all,
day. You get
yeah.
up, you scrape your tongue, and then you brush your teeth. And then this would be a great time if you're not doing it yet to start to incorporate some oil pulling. Even if you weren't pulling it, just put some sesame oil in your mouth and just hold it in your mouth. Like let that oil get into your gums and moisturize your tissues. Talk about rinsing with haritaki water. Where you make haritaki water, by the way, so you can put a teaspoon to a tablespoon of haritaki in some room temperature water. Let it sit overnight after you brush your teeth, after you do your oil pulling. You rinse with haritaki. So you can get rid of your scope, you can get rid of your Listerine, just throw that stuff out. It's not good for you. And rinse with haritaki water instead. It's going to balance Vata. It's going to support elimination. You can swallow some of the haritaki. It's good for you. It's going to help with getting that Vata out and down. This is also like the time of year. If you are not doing abhyanga, it's time to start your abhyanga practice.
I'm so excited because it's like it got so hot here that like I scaled back on my abhyanga. Fall, like I go back to twice a day. It's it's just so grounding and nourishing. And if you are not doing abhyanga yet, like get on it.
Get on it. This is the time of year to do it for sure. And we were talking about because I've just I have still done my abhyanga, but like I go to lighter oils in the summertime. This is the time of year that now I want to add castor oil to my sesame oil. I want a heavier, thicker abhyanga practice. I want I want more warming scents in my oils. I want to you can get Mahanarayan oil. I think you can definitely get that from Banyan Botanicals. I bet you can also find
Gary.
it. Does Gary have it? I'm sure Gary has Mahanarayan oil. Actually, I really like Gary's Mahanarayan oil. It's red. It smells like sesame oil, but there's something the Mahanarayan oil is just special, isn't it? The way that it makes your skin feel, the way that it makes your complexion look, it's almost like that red oil gives a rosy glow to the skin. And if you have joint pain, if you have arthritis, to really massage that Mahanarayan oil into those painful joints on a daily basis. It's not something like Bengay or Icy Hot or lidocaine where you're going to feel the results the day that you do it. But if you like, my knees are starting to hurt me. I'm getting older. I've been a yoga practitioner for a very long time. There's been a lot of squats in my life, right? Lots of running in my life. And my knees kind of hurt in the fall, but after rubbing that Mahanarayan oil on my knees for a period of time, I'd say probably like 2 weeks to a month, my knees feel different. And then if I run out of Mahanarayan oil, I can tell. So, yeah, this is the time to do things like Mahanarayan oil, thick oils. If you're into essential oils and fragrance, add a little frankincense to your essential oils. Add a little to your abhyanga oil. Add a little fresh ginger. Think things, a little bit of clove, things that are warming.
I'll just add, so Mahanarayan oil is a special oil that's formulated with a bunch of herbs, and it's really good for rebuilding tissues and soreness and muscle repair and those type of things. It's just very nourishing, very grounding. It's great stuff, especially like you said, if you have an injury. And I will plug Banyan Botanicals here because they have a lot of
Amazing.
nice oils. They have like an ashwagandha infused oil, they have a bala oil, they have a vata oil that has these things in it. Like they have some really good fall options. They have a dashmul oil. So does Gary. So any of these ones, any of the herbs that we've talked about that are in an oil form that you can rub on your body is like bonus, really great. Definitely do it. It makes a difference. Like you said, I rub Narayan oil on my lower back and it makes a difference. And I feel like I can feel it like right away. Like not that it works acutely, but like I know I'm doing something specific for that area with the specific thing and it just like it feels happier.
Well, and think about what you're doing here because we're talking about the problems that Vata has and how you want everything in Ayurveda and everything needs to be just right. We want to stay, that's why the awareness is so important because we want to stay at that correct level, that level where it's not too much, it's not too little, not too hot, not too cold. And what we are doing with the massage is we are stimulating the part of Vata that we want. We're stimulating that circulation. We're getting oxygen to our tissues, but we're pacifying the catabolic, destructive nature by bringing in something that's moist and nourishing and tissue building. So just these persnickety details that can be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm a big time I've become a self-care junkie. And like if I'm gonna be a junkie, I'd like to be a self-care junkie. It's good for me. It's good for the universe.
I think you should put that on a t-shirt.
Self-care junkie.
Now, if I'm going to be a junkie, I'm going to be a self-care junkie.
We need a
Yeah.
website and we'll sell merch.
Yes, abhyanga with some warming essential oils, vetiver, camphor, saffron, all the ones Alicia mentioned. Like you have some really good options there. Coming with fall, one of the things that I think about is how the wind can invade us. And so it's important to put away your summer wardrobe. Like no more midriff hanging out, no more just like exposed skin. Be aware that the wind can infiltrate and cause issues and dress appropriately for the season. Stay warm.
Yeah. Cover
I'm
your, cover your shoulders. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm really bad at this.
Well, I know that this is something that I've gotten very, I've just gotten aware of it. It's become important to me over the last like 2 or 3 years to really notice that when it's windy, I cover my shoulders and I'll wear a scarf. Even if it's not like cold outside, even just a light scarf, I cover my neck up. Not only do I get lots of compliments on my accessories, you can buy silk scarves in bulk on eBay. Dirt cheap. They're beautiful. I've bought like 2 lots of scarves and I have all these scarves. I got one to match every outfit. Everybody comments on it. It's lovely. And then my neck is covered and it keeps me from getting sick. If I go out and it's really windy and my neck is not covered, the next day I kind of feel like I'm getting a cold. And I think it's the wind invasion. It dries
Yeah.
me out.
Yes. So great time to be aware of the weather and how it affects us and to create some barriers for that. This is also not the season to overexert yourself. I think that's a really big one because Vata can get really weak and exhausted and frail very easily. So it really is the time to ground and nourish and be gentle. You can still, exercise and move, but to be really aware that you're not overdoing it because that will be something that causes issues down the road.
That's what this might seem contradictory because we've been going over a lot of explicit details But one of the things this time of year, I mean, we have all these details you can choose, but at the end of it all, you need to embrace simplicity. What was the term? I love this. Graze like a cow and let your spirit soar. Yeah, so think about a cow just like going along, grazing on the grass. He's not in a hurry to do any. That cow, she's not in a hurry to do anything, right? She's just taking care of her needs slowly but surely. And this is a time to, let your dreams fly on the wind. Live in harmony with your body's true needs and expand your consciousness. This is the time for that.
Well, that's another great point I think that's worth touching on is as Vata is aggravated or we're in Vata times of the day or the season, we're less tethered. And it is actually a really great time to do spiritual work because we are less grounded. We're more connected to something bigger and greater and beyonder than ourselves. So it is a good time
All
to
that ether.
yeah, all that ether connects us to something greater and take advantage of that while still finding the balance and staying grounded because you can go too far on that end. You can do too much breath work and meditation. It's going to aggravate your vata, and if your body's distracting you and we're having all these constipative pain issues, then you're not going to be able to progress very far. So, it's all about finding the balance.
So, should we talk a little bit about what kind of yoga to do this year
Yeah.
or do in the season? So this is a great time for, okay, we talked about Vata causing gassiness and bloating. So of course, wind relieving poses. I say twist. Anything where you're twisting, it stimulates the part of Vata that helps with digestion. Inversions help to guide that Vata out and down. And think like slow yoga, grounding yoga. It doesn't have to be the gentlest yoga, but like long, hold your poses a little bit longer. Focus on your breath. Get grounded. Focus on your feet on the mat or on the ground, wherever it is that your feet are when you're doing yoga. Focus on, if you're in a handstand, focus on your hands. Instead, this is not a time like to jump up into a whole bunch of handstands over and over again. This is the time to get into that handstand, maybe rest your feet up against the wall and hold it. If you're not a handstander, this is the time to get in your downward dog and hold it and breathe and feel your hands in the floor, feel your feet in the floor. I guess Nadi Shodhana is just something to do all times of the year. That comes up every time. And if you're not doing alternate nostril breathing, if you've never done alternate nostril breathing, try it one time and then let us know how you felt. Do it for 3 minutes.
Yeah, Nadi Shodhana is great. I mean, it harmonizes everything and it purifies the channel and it's very calming. I'm a big fan. That's one that you can do for a few rounds and notice an immediate difference in your existence.
Yeah. It's like, I feel different. We did not mention this, and I think it's just worth mentioning. I'm looking at my notes. Warm showers, y'all. This is not a cold shower time of year. As long as we're talking about yoga, that's kind of a yoga thing, or at least it's a Kundalini yoga thing. You start your morning with a cold shower. Not in the fall, not in the winter. Warm showers.
Showers, warm oils, warm food. There's a trend here, a theme.
There is a theme. And also because we're going from like, we've been in the summertime. So we've been doing raw foods and cold foods. And now we're transitioning to cooked foods and warm foods. And we've been doing light oils. And now we're going to do heavier oils. And we've been doing cool fragrances. And now we're moving into warm, spicy fragrances. So this is a big shift. And I think it's important that we mention that we introduce these new routines gradually, not to just go from, today I'm eating cold salads to now I'm eating heavy cooked curries with rice. It's good that we're doing this episode just a little bit early because we're giving people time to start to decrease the amount of cool, raw, light food and gradually increase the amount of heavy, warm, cooked foods. And keep in mind, and we'll touch on this later, that as we move towards the end of fall, we want to start to reduce the heaviness and reduce the moisture a little bit because we don't want to aggravate kapha as we're moving into the kapha season. And we'll talk more about that in a couple of months.
I think before we wrap, we should each give our top 3 recommendations. Like if people were gonna do 3 things to really get grounded this fall season, what would your top 3 be?
Ooh. Well, I mean, the first one would be abhyanga. I would say, and you put me on the spot. Just the simplest, most effective thing I would say is triphala, enough triphala every night so that you are starting your day with a complete bowel movement. Abhyanga with a heavy oil, and say sesame and castor, um, and cooked foods. Cook your foods, put oil on them.
I'd say mine are similar. Like Abhyanga's definitely on there. Um, I would put slow yoga on the top of my list because as somebody who is hyper productive and has a really hard time slowing down and being still, like this is such a great time to practice that and it really does make a difference. Like even if you're just laying in shavasana for 5 minutes, forcing yourself to slow down and counteract all the movement in your life, I think is game changing. And I want everyone to try the Chyavanprash. So I'm very curious what the people will think and if they like it because I think that's just such like low hanging fruit to start incorporating in your day and over the course of a lifetime has some really big payment. Like you'll get your bang for your buck, right? It's just so nourishing. So those are great. Those are 5 things because we had some duplicates that you could top a list. I can't talk today. The Vata is not Vata. The Vata is disturbing my speech already.
Well, I mean, we've been here for a while. We were here for a while before we hit record. So, too much talking is a thing. I mean, that's I think that's the last thing that I want to say before we wrap up is like observe your environment, guys. Look at your climate. Think about the plant cycles. Use these as cues for how to adjust your lifestyle and avoid what we call crimes against wisdom. Don't ignore your intuition. Pay attention. Um your body knows what you need if you listen to your body. If you feel overexerted, if you're tired, it's time to it's time to lay it down. If you're cold, put on some warmer clothes. Adjust that thermostat. Don't suppress natural urges. Go to the bathroom when you want to go to the bathroom. Eat when you're hungry. Don't hold in your laughter or your flatulence or your belches. Let those sneezes out. People get fall allergies, and don't ignore the evidence of the past. When you pay attention to how things affect your body in the fall seasons of the past and carry that wisdom that you have gained over the years of your life into this season. This is how we avoid crimes against wisdom, which cause us all these problems that we want to avoid. So
Very
graze
well
like a
put.
cow and let your spirit soar. I'm going to put that
Yes.
on a t-shirt. Thank you. Shout out to Sebastian Pohl, who apparently got that from one of his teachers and put it in a book so I could write it on my mirror.
I love that. Well, I hope everybody has a lovely fall and does lots of pumpkin-y things and stays really, really grounded.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Lila. This has been
Yeah, thank you,
fun.
Alicia. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Herbalism Uncensored. We're genuinely humbled by the love and support you've shown us. If you've been enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and don't hesitate to reach out. Whether it's with a question, a success story, or a topic you'd love us to explore in a future episode. And remember, both Alicia and Lila, that's me, run virtual clinics. We'd love for you to check out what we're up to.
You can find Alicia's practice Holistically Correct at holisticallycorrect.com, and you can learn more about my work at the Virtual Natural Healing Clinic by visiting tvnhc.com. Until next time, be well, stay grounded, and keep healing.